Ladies and gentlemen, it's the Ron Edwards American Experience Talk Show, where our unalienable rights are celebrated. And now, your radio refreshment, Ron Edwards.
Yes, it is the effervescent one, your radio refreshment. I am Ron Edwards, and welcome to this edition of the Ron Edwards American Experience. Brought to you by Constitutional Grounds Coffee. It is the coffee you want in your cup. February 22nd, 2022. This is the 290th anniversary of the birth in 1732 of General and President George Washington, the father of our country, the United States of America. He was the most universally respected and admired American in the age of the Founding Fathers and in American history. We're going to be talking about George and other aspects of this day and what it could be or what it should be, what it was, when we get back to it a little later in the broadcast. But right now, boy, should I describe some of these stories as dum-diddy-dum-dum-dum? Such as Secretary Austin. He's talking about sanctions may not affect Putin. Wow, no stuff, Sherlock. It is because of Austin, Biden, and others that our military is not even in a position to be a threat to Putin, China, North Korea, terrorists around the world, whatever. If our country were much stronger, or at least had the appearance of strength as it did under the Trump administration, I can almost guarantee you that many of the news stories that are unfolding today would not be happening in such a manner. I could almost guarantee you that 130,000 Russian soldiers would not be hankering, just waiting to rush to bum rush Ukraine. I could tell you that China would not be getting ready to, they might be threatening, but they would not be poised to jump all over Taiwan. And that's going to be the ultimate test. It's one thing to take on Mother Russia. It'll be another thing to take on China, which has already taken over South America, Africa, the Panama Canal, many acres of the United States of America because of our no good, nasty government allowing this to happen. You have major towers in the beautiful city of New York, Manhattan, that have been sold to the Chinese at very discount prices because of the conditions that are created by Democrat lawmakers. They make things so bad that they decrease the price of real estate, whether it's land or buildings. In many sections of this country, what happens? The Chinese come in and swoop it up. It has happened to a lesser degree in other great cities like Chicago, San Francisco, and elsewhere. I don't think we're the only country that's stupid. There are vast areas of old Canada that are now owned by China, thanks or no thanks to Trudeau. Trudeau is a trip, isn't he? He clamped down big time on the truckers, and now the truckers in the United States are converging or planning to converge on our nation's capital. I don't think they need to do that. Here's the thing that they should do, and they should join this effort with the Canadian truckers. They all stay home. No one go to work. You get the same impact of no deliveries. And at the same time, my friends, everyone else not go to work. And tell the government, both here in the United States and in old Canada, hey, we're not participating in your tyranny. We're done. We are done. And we're not going to have it. We have to do something drastic like this. And yeah, I've talked to some people, and they say, well, that's too inconvenient. I got to go work. I got to pay my mortgage. I got to do this, that, and the other. Well, let's say we do nothing. Or just the truckers go out and converge on Washington, D.C. Well, just like the ones in Canada, they'll get their butts kicked, and they'll go home. Then what? No, we all in mass have to do this together. I would like 200 million Americans to join with the truckers and say, hell no and no to hell. And say, we're done. We're not going to participate. Remember when the Reagan administration was in office? Man, if you were a young person during that decade, that was a fun time to be alive. Trust me on that. And when he supported, I think it was Poland, and Lech Walesa led a movement, and I think everyone stayed home. No one went to work for 21 days. 21 days. And they broke the habit of communism. It all takes 21 days to break a habit. We stay home, and they know that we're serious. See, one of the reasons why government officials don't take us serious is because in so many cases we act silly. We do stupid stuff. That's why Ali Obama said that the American people, he said that we don't have enough sense or intelligence to take care of ourselves, and therefore we need government to guide us through life. And so, and this is the thinking of socialist pigs. They want to rule us from cradle to grave. They want to tell us who to worship, them basically. They want to tell us how many children to have, what to eat, where to eat, where do we eat. They want to force scientific or biological freaks upon society and change things from the way God created it. God created man and woman. That is fine with me. But here you have the political freaks who want to change everything and kick God out of society, and they think that by allowing trannies to come about and beat females in their sports, such as at the University of Pennsylvania and this women's swim team. And they think that's a good thing. They think, oh, yeah. Where are the feminists? Where are the feminists? Where's the Helen Reddys of the world who said, I am woman, hear me roar. I can do anything. Just open up the door. I can do anything that a man can do. Billie Jean King, remember those days? Anything you can do, I can do better. And I predicted, as a really young guy back then, I said, man, I think in the future, sometime in history, females are going to be forced to prove that they are as strong as men, that they can do everything men can do. I had no idea that it would come about this way, that it would be this crazy. I had no idea. What would I know about this kind of stuff? So here we are. Never forget, for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction, even if it's not for a long, long time. Women in the West, not only in the United States, but in Western Europe, have been cocking around like roosters for a long time, putting men down. They got the court system on their side. They have the church on their side. Even when they're wrong, somehow the man is always wrong. And you just can't do wrong stuff and not expect there to be a backlash, even if you don't even understand that it is a backlash. Wrong begets wrong. The men got kicked in the teeth because they gave up their rightful position as men in society. So men paid for their stupidity in becoming Wimpus Americanus Apologeticus. And so the beat goes on. When I continue on this, the Ron Edwards American Experience.
Yabba, dabba, do.
It's the Ron Edwards American Experience Talk Show, where our unalienable rights are celebrated.
Constitutional Grounds, the hot air roasted coffee that produces a smoother, richer, healthier, and less acidic coffee. Our unique hot air roasted coffee has a most delicious taste everyone is raving about. Because you want the best, Constitutional Grounds is the coffee you want in your cup. Simply go to theronedwards.com and click on to the Constitutional Grounds coffee display to make your purchase, and to be sure to use the RE20 promo code, and you will receive a 20% discount. Remember, Constitutional Grounds, the coffee you want in your cup.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day, or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
Come on. You watch the news. Be prepared to pay more taxes. Then if you owe back taxes or haven't filed in a few years, get ready. The IRS, the largest collection agency in the world, will be coming after you with the power to collect taxes by any means they want to. Hey, they can freeze your bank account, your passport, even padlock your business. Good times. Look, if the IRS claims you owe them $5,000 or more in back taxes and they're coming after you, don't panic. Call my friends at Get a Tax Lawyer first. Their job is to negotiate with the IRS and save you money. They're experts at it. That's all they do. And you can trust them. In some cases, they have reduced a $50,000 tax bill to less than $1,000. If you owe the IRS $5,000 or more in back taxes, call now for a free consultation.
800-908-6084. 800-908-6084. That's 800-908-6084.
America's favorite get-together, the Ron Edwards American Experience. Join in at 985-218-0185. That's 985-218-0185.
The Ron Edwards American Experience Talk Show, where our unalienable rights are celebrated.
I've always thought of the importance of communication and how much a part it plays in what you and I, what all of us are trying to do. And one day, a former place kicker with the Los Angeles Rams, who later became a sports announcer, Danny Villanueva, told me about communications. He said he'd been having dinner over at the home of a young ball player with the Dodgers. The young wife was bustling about getting the dinner ready. They were talking sports, and the baby started to cry. And over her shoulder, his busy wife said to the ball player, "Change the baby." And he was a young fella, and he was embarrassed in front of Danny, and he said, "What do you mean, change the baby? I'm a ball player. That's not my line of work." And she turned around, put her hands on her hips, and she communicated. She said, "Look, Buster, you lay the diaper out like a diamond. You put second base on home plate. You put the baby's bottom on the pitcher's mound. You hook up first and third, slide home underneath. And if it starts to rain, the game ain't called. You start all over."
The great one. The great communicator, Ronald Reagan, one of our greatest presidents in history. It's a tie, in my opinion, between he and Trump. Those are the only two good presidents that I've experienced during my lifetime. Many others can talk about Kennedy or Franklin D. Roosevelt and all of that, or Teddy Roosevelt. I've heard great stories about all those guys, but my time, Yep, it's the Gipper and the Trumpster. On this President's Day, 2022. Well, my friends, it seems that as we look about our republic today, Facebook, they've dropped hate speech suspension for Ohio GOP candidate Josh Mandel after a Breitbart inquiry. You know, many times Facebook goes after you if you tell the truth about certain issues in our country. And of course, truth goes against the community standards of one Facebook. And Twitter goes after you as well. And I lost my account. All I did was tell the truth. That's all I did. Isn't it amazing how things have so changed in our republic, turned mobocracy, that speaking the truth is now treated as if you were doing evil. And those that are promoting evil push the evil like it's the most wonderful thing in the world. While at the same time, they want to shed darkness all across this land, which is supposed to be a bright light of liberty to the world. I always say liberty. I always prefer to say liberty as opposed to freedom. The reason why is because freedom means you're just free to do something. And you're free to run around. You can do whatever. But liberty means freedom with responsibility. And see, let's land right there just for a second. When I talk about responsibility, I'm talking about personal responsibility. Having a conscience, understanding right from wrong, understanding property rights, understanding that your rights stops at the bridge of another man's nose, that you should not covet thy neighbor's wife, or vice versa. The wife should not covet thy neighbor's husband, and so on and so on. But the reason why this republic has gotten so mixed up, like a potato salad, I mean, it's just, everything is jingle jangle, because while we had the most wonderful principles laid out for a nation in the history of planet Earth, doesn't matter if you have the great principles, if you don't exercise those principles, what happens? You lose it. Just like working out. If you slacken your workout, oh yeah, you'll get nice and flabby. Or even if you continue to work out, as you age, you get flabby. You got to figure something else out to get that muscle back. And so we in the United States have to figure out how to get our morals back, how to get what made America the envy of the world back. We didn't become the greatest nation in the history of the world through osmosis or by accident. It wasn't a derivative of the Bang Theory. No. It was set out and created and blessed by our Creator. And so we have to get back to that, or we will soon be destroyed as a nation. We are at the door. We've gone past the fork in the road. We are at the door of either blessings or destruction. And it comes down to what we want, what we're willing to stand for, whether we're too lazy to stand for what is right. Because it has been so horrible and under this administration, because many have become very dismayed because of the lies over the past 2 years. Oh yeah, Trump's coming, he's going to come right back. They're making arrests. They're doing this. I mean, you had goofballs running around talking about, all the original people are dead. That's not the real Joe Biden. That's not the real Nasty Pelosi. That's not the real so-and-so. And when people told me that, I backed them off of me. And you know how I did it? I said, well, you know something? Okay, let's say if what you're telling me is the truth, then that is even more insulting that a dummy replacement or a hologram, one person said hologram. I said either a replacement or holograms. If we're being screwed over replacements, that's even more insulting. Why would the nation be allowed to be screwed over by replacements? If the originals were really bumped off, I would think there would be a change, and the reason for bumping them off would be to initiate a change for the better in our republic, not replace them with lookalikes to continue. And you had a lot of people running around saying this stuff. Religionists who call themselves Christians, but religionists running around saying these things. And you had other people believing it. And so, because of the letdown of reality, many people have said, oh, screw it, it's over. And you can't give up. You can't give up. You just can't allow it to be over. That's what the enemies of liberty want you to do. Give in, give up the ghost, as it were. And as I've said on this broadcast before, we the people allowed this madness to happen. The parents allowed their children over the past several generations to be lied to be misdirected, to be indoctrinated against all that is good. We went from, in the late 1950s and early 60s, from having the number one education system overall on planet Earth to, I think we're about number 33 in the world now. Out of 190 nations, maybe 200 nations now, but out of a lot of nations, we're in the 30s. So how are we in the United States, how do we expect to maintain our position as the number one nation in the world, the superpower in the world, and we have the 33rd worst education system on planet Earth, and the majority of what is taught is programming people that were born here against this nation? That's retarded. And they've done a masterful job. And you show you how crazy it is. During the time of Jim Crow, did you know the majority of blacks under the boot heel of racism, when it was truly a massive problem in this country, were very patriotic? Because they were intelligent enough to understand that despite all the problems, they understood that they were still better off here than most other places on the planet. That they understood, like Frederick Douglass, who succeeded mightily in this country, that if they worked hard together, that is a key word, they could increase their value in society. But unfortunately, when the bastardized rights movement came around, they called it civil rights, they convinced black Americans to devalue themselves. First through Margaret Sanger's abortion, then via the government pitting the females against the males. Now, this stuff was presented to every group in the country. They didn't just single out blacks. They presented this crap to everyone, and blacks were the only ones. The black female was the only one who accepted it in mass and turned on their men. And then they were the ones and then they kicked the man out of the house, and they were the ones who raised the succeeding generations the wrong way. And then, of course, because they were raised the wrong way, they didn't carry themselves in the best manner, and everyone blamed the boys who were raised wrong. But they didn't blame the mothers who were crooked and raised them in the wrong way. After they obediently kicked the man out of the house at the behest of the leftist white man. Yep. Truth is madness at times, but it's got to be spoken and it's got to be understood so that we can truly overcome these problems. Now, I don't leave problems right there. I believe in overcoming these problems, and how we can overcome these problems is starting with the new generation. Make sure, parents need to make sure with new children entering into the school system every year, parents have to say, put a halt to all this and start making sure that their children are taught the truth concerning American history, and they're taught real math, real science, cursive writing, and of course exposed to classical music, the classics, not only for it's the beautiful sounds, but for the stimulative qualities of classical music. We've got to do these things. We've got to grab the bull by the horns. Remember, it said we the people. It did not say they the government. Got to use our brains. Got to function with what God gave us, and we will continue functioning in the right way. Right here on the Ron Edwards American Experience.
Ron Edwards, the new voice of America.
Interface complete.
Constitutional Grounds, the hot air roasted coffee that produces a smoother, richer, healthier, and less acidic coffee. Our unique hot air roasted coffee has a most delicious taste that everyone is raving about. Because you want the best, Constitutional Grounds is the coffee you want in your cup. Simply go to theronedwards.com and click on to the Constitutional Grounds coffee display to make your purchase, and to be sure to use the RE20 promo code and you will receive a 20% discount. Remember, Constitutional Grounds, the coffee you want in your cup.
You're listening to the K-Star Talk Radio Network, broadcasting truth around the world.
How will history reflect upon the massive truck driver freedom blockade in Canada and the United States? Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, brought to you by Constitutional Grounds Coffee. For more months than I can remember, I have been telling my fantastic audience members on my popular talk show, The Ron Edwards American Experience, and anyone else who would listen, that we the people must massively rise up and push back vigorously against the tyrannical toads in government who seek to control our lives. Also against the government indoctrination system that seeks to continue making dullards out of generations of Americans, and the Obamacare-dominated medical care system, which has proven to be more poisonous than beneficial. My friends, the trucker freedom fighters have set the tone and have shown through their brave effort that we can turn the tide and win back our God-given unalienable rights. But we must follow their bold effort with an even greater measure of resolve to not let up until victory is assured and sustained. Then I believe that history will look back favorably on we, the re-founding fathers of this sweet land of liberty. I'm Ron Edwards. For Constitutional Grounds Coffee, simply go to BlueRidgeCoffeeCrafters.com.
Ron Edwards, the new voice of America.
Nobody wants to get ripped off, broken into, or robbed, but nobody wants to pay a lot of money to have their home protected either.
I've got an offer to tell you about to provide home security for your home for less than $1 a day. For real, with no installation or equipment charges. And this is from a company rated #1 by a leading consumer research company. According to the facts, most of you won't even call unless there's a burglary in your neighborhood or something bad happens. So let's give you a reason. Save money. For less than $1 a day with no other costs, you can get your home secured. Plus, get a lifetime equipment replacement warranty. You need protection for your home. Call the Home Security Hotline right now.
800-430-6715. That's 800-430-6715.
The Ron Edwards American Experience, the talk show that celebrates America and reminds everyone she's worth fighting for. Join me, host Ron Edwards, and also don't miss a daily page from the Edwards Notebook Commentary, right here on
K-Star Talk Radio Network.
Liberty Works Radio Network.
The last frequency.
Ron Edwards, the new voice of America.
Yeah, speaking of a brand new thing, would you believe that here on the Ron Edwards American Experience, I'm your happy host, Ron Edwards. Would you believe, my friends, that a brand new thing called common sense in the United States, that you have about 2 generations that have been just totally void of common sense thinking? Man, oh man, oh man. On February 7th, 2022, the Washington Post, speaking of a lack of common sense, that editorial board wrote one of the most crazy, if not completely retarded editorials to come out of that useless rag in the past 2 decades. It's entitled, "The U.S. Needs More Immigrants and More Babies." Well, they do need more American babies that are not aborted and replaced by illegal border crossers. But that's another story. Mind you, these are all college graduates on that editorial board. College graduates. That tells you something right there, because most college graduates in America are fools. They're turned into fools, that is. They've written about every environmental crisis known to man in the pages of their rag. They look out daily at those consequences in Washington, D.C. with their horrific gridlock, air pollution, congestion, crime, climate change, etc. All yet write such a stupid editorial that they think that Americans will buy into it. Here's what they want you to gulp down. At 334 million Americans in 2022, we grew by nearly 5 million more Americans in last year alone. 5 million in 1 year. Well, that's thanks to Biden allowing 2 million illegal border crossers to jump our borders. And let's not forget 1.5 million legal immigrants, at least, in addition to their burgeoning birth rates. We are the 3rd most populated country on planet Earth, and we are the 3rd fastest growing country in the world behind India and China, and our government is trying to turn us into another version of India, or maybe Venezuela. Ironically, the American people heeded Earth Day in 1970, averaging 2.3 children per woman since that time. The Congress did not take the warnings of Earth Day. They passed the immigration reform bill that has continually dumped over 1 million immigrants into our country, or republic turned mobocracy, annually. That's from a pool of 83 million new babies added, net gain to the world every year since 1970. Even in the face of accelerating environmental nightmares, they have opened the doors to the entire planet, and the world is pouring through those open doors into the United States of America. And most of those who are pouring into our country are the dregs of the societies from which they come from. Why? Because the Third World didn't take note of Earth Day. The Third World jumped the world population from 3.5 billion in 1970 to its current 7.9 billion in 2022, and headed for 10 billion by mid-century. Wow. Because of our enormous numbers of 334 million, we face every kind of environmental catastrophe, from global climate change to air-polluted skies over our once gleaming cities, to endless traffic gridlock, to 5.25 trillion pieces of plastic inundating our oceans, to the 6th extinction session. We are losing 100 species to extinction 24/7 to our poisoned rivers such as the mighty Mississippi, where it dumps thousands of chemicals into the once fertile Gulf of Mexico, forming 10,000 square mile dead zone. Yep, butterflies going extinct, bee colony collapses. And trust me, if all the bees were eliminated from the planet, humankind as we know it would be dead within 4 years, maybe less. You got 1 million roadkills on our nation's highways 24/7, and the list of devastating ecological problems accelerates with every added person to the United States of America. In the West, they've endured the 6th year of exceptional drought. That's the reason for the wildfires that have scorched millions of acres in the past 3 years, along with those wildfires that were also set by human beings, all west of the Rockies. And yet, the Washington Post editors urge more, and I mean more, illegal border crossers pouring into our country. Unlimited population growth cannot be sustained for any one nation. You cannot sustain growth in the rates of consumption of resources. No species can overrun the carrying capacity of a finite landmass. This law cannot be repealed, and it is not negotiable. It's not. That's scientific. Why don't they follow the science that is real? How about that? At some point, if we remain on this current growth path, we will collapse our civilization. It could be 10 years or 20 or 30, but it's in process as you listen to this voice of Ron Edwards. And it's not going to be pretty, my friends. And it's going to be horrible. The greatest nation in the history of the world kills itself through over-immigration. What's astounding to me stems from the fact that the Washington Post stupid editors look at the nightmare of India's 1.3 billion and China's 1.4 billion people, and they want our country to follow into those overpopulated realities. Isn't that crazy? On one hand, they bark and yelp at our ankles about overpopulation, but these same people turn around and they want the United States overpopulated. Why is that? Could there be some political or immoral desires woven into their desire to see the United States overpopulated, while at the same time they want the population of the rest of the planet to be reduced? Could it be because the United States, at least until Biden got in office, represented freedom, liberty, and strength, the power of the individual? Yeah. It's the thing that's going on in this country today. We see 38 million Americans subsisting on food stamps. 38 million. We endure 580,000 homeless. If you go to St. Louis, if you go to Los Angeles, San Francisco, New Orleans, even beautiful cities that are vibrant and prosperous like Austin, Texas, or Denver, you'll find enclaves of tents filled with homeless, mostly illegal border crossers. But that's all encouraged by the government. We're $32 trillion in national debt. We see 7 out of 10 African or Black American babies without fathers. And that was by design. And now they're trying to wipe out the father out of all American homes, particularly the white American homes. And the tragedy continues. I'm Ron Edwards, and you're listening to the Ron Edwards American Experience.
Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth on the Ron Edwards American Experience. Constitutional Grounds, the hot air roasted coffee that produces a smoother, richer, healthier, and less acidic coffee. Our unique hot air roasted coffee has a most delicious taste that everyone is raving about. Because you want the best, Constitutional Grounds is the coffee you want in your cup. Simply go to theronedwards.com and click on to the Constitutional Grounds coffee display to make your purchase, and to be sure to use the RE20 promo code and you will receive a 20% discount. Remember, Constitutional Grounds, the coffee you want in your cup.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-826-5884. That's 800-826-5884.
Attention timeshare owners. Are you dissatisfied with your timeshare? Tired of the financial burden? Were you misled by the salesperson? Don't want or can't use your timeshare anymore? Then you may qualify for timeshare cancellation. Timeshare Defense Attorneys is the #1 affordable fixed fee legal solution in the country with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating. Our experienced lawyers will evaluate your case, and if we take you on as a client, we will work on your case until it's solved in your favor. That's our 100% satisfaction guarantee. One of our lawyers will keep you informed in the process, all while protecting your rights, interest, and even your credit. Get the relief you need now from the burden of your timeshare. Call now for a free consultation, and don't forget to ask about our stimulus discount program.
Call 800-492-8151. That's 800-492-8151.
This is Kyle Warren, the professor of politics, and you're listening to The Ron Edwards on the Ron Edwards American Experience.
Welcome back. I am Ron Edwards. You're listening to the Ron Edwards American Experience. And as promised, we are going to talk a little bit about this holiday. It is Washington's birthday, in my opinion. I know it's called President's Day. Oh, get this, before I get into some of the history of this, Politico came out and said they should abolish President's Day because they added Donald Trump. These people are out of their minds, crazy. The first non-globalist president we've had since Ronald Reagan, and that's the one they want to get rid of as far as our history is concerned. Boy, oh boy. Well, anyway, folks, for generations, George Washington's birthday was a national holiday on February the 22nd, which celebrated on the actual anniversary of his birth, February 22nd. On Washington's birthday, Americans paused to remember and honor him. Parents and schools taught American children about his life on his birthday. They urged the children to learn about the father of their country and to follow his example of patriotic love of country, selfless service, and sacrifice for liberty, personal honor, dedication to duty, fidelity to principle. By observing Washington's birthday as a national holiday on his actual birth date, February 22nd, the focus of the nation was on Washington. However, all that changed in 1971. Leftists in Congress, pressured by the federal government bureaucrat leftists and other employees and their leftist unions desiring another paid 3-day holiday, abolished Washington's birthday as a national holiday, which they could have just turned that into a paid holiday and kept the focus as it originally was. But they went ahead and replaced with President's Day, of course, to water it down, to be observed on the third Monday of February. As a result, of the Uniform Monday Holiday Act, which gave government employees their sought-after 3-day weekend. Goody-goody gumdrop. As a result, Americans in general, and in particularly American children in government schools, learn little or absolutely nothing about the greatest man in the history of America, George Washington, without whose extraordinary virtues and sacrifices they would not be free, or even free to think about it today. Today we dream about true liberty. Further, Washington's birthday, was it replaced by President's Day? Of course. Washington, Jefferson, Lincoln, who were giants in history, were lumped in with the likes of politicians who held the office of president, but did little or nothing to ennoble it, and much to ignoble it by incompetence or moral failure, like the guy who's in office now. No other president has been so universally admired in America, not even the great Gipper or the Trumpster, or in the world for that example, as was George Washington. Washington was by far the most admired man of the Founding Fathers' generation. He was called the father of his country. He was America's first president and the only president unanimously elected and unanimously re-elected. He was, as Revolutionary War hero General Lighthorse Harry Lee memorably said, "First in war, first in peace, first in the hearts of his countrymen." Yep. Can that be said today? When Washington's birthday is no longer a national holiday, and the nation's children learn more in progressive, leftist, politically correct, cultural relativists government schools about the life of Muhammad than the life of George Washington? Oh boy. When government schools, politicians, and the media celebrate such farcical, concocted holidays such as Kwanzaa, man, that is a waste. Never a holiday or observed in Africa. Cinco de Mayo, never a holiday or observed in Mexico. While George Washington's birthday holiday is no more. Think about that. What an insult. There's more focus placed on the non-holiday holidays of Kwanzaa and Cinco de Mayo. Everyone stupidly believes that Cinco de Mayo is a big deal in Mexico. It's nothing in Mexico. Shows you about the denseness of many Americans. Dense. And I'm not talking about by birth or that people are created that way. They're made that way by these evil government schools. George Washington, first, last, and always a soldier serving God and country, was heralded in his time as the apostle of liberty, the indispensable man, having with his ragtag band of American citizen soldiers of the Revolutionary Army defeated the English Empire, then the most powerful military force in the world, in 8 years of war to establish our American independence, our liberty. Washington did not seek the presidency. It sought him. He was elected unanimously, twice. He was offered the presidency for life, but he stunned the entire planet when he refused a third term and even monarchical rule, and instead walked away from the power to return to his home as citizen. Yep. He is our American Cincinnatus. Washington, like that 5th century BC Roman general, fought the battles of the nation, held unequal power but did not covet it, and instead returned to his farm. So was Washington satisfied to be a citizen of a free America rather than its ruler. And there, my friends, is where the Founding Fathers were a bit naive. They believed that the American people would maintain common sense, common decency, morality, belief in God. And they would always maintain a steadfast adherence to liberty and the principles of liberty, which includes morality. They thought that, hey, they started this good thing, that the people would have the common sense to always permanently maintain it. Although Benjamin Franklin did say to that woman who famously asked him, what kind of government is this? When he said, this is a republic, ma'am, if you can keep it. Unfortunately, in recent years, the American people have, through indoctrination, one generation after the other, have turned their backs on liberty. Many, I mean many of your neighbors agree with exactly everything that Nasty Pelosi, Chucky Schumer, Biden, Kamala Harris, and all of them, the rhinos, the dishonorable rhinos, they're the most dishonorable of all. Because you know the Democrats, they present themselves as what they are. AOC, Elam, all these people present themselves as what they are. Enemies of liberty, enemies of America, the great. You know what you got when it comes to Democrats. But these Republicans run around quoting freedom, liberty, lower taxes, this, that, and the other. Yet at the same time, just like Democrats, in many cases, they want to get rid of God. And then they wonder why they get their butts kicked. They wonder why they have no authority, even when they have the majority. You ever notice when Republicans are in the majority, they still don't get their way, the right way? They don't push hard enough for what the people put them in office for? It's because they themselves have become very immoral. You cannot walk around here saying that I stand for liberty, but if your moral base is in the trash, you are going to end up with the same results as those who are honestly pushing for communism in America, like the current administration of the regime of Biden. And that's why I have even less respect for the rhino Republicans like Lizard Cheney, Lindsey Graham. Let me stop naming these people before I, upchuck on my own microphone, on my beautiful microphone here. So on that note, I just want to thank you for joining me on this edition of the Ron Edwards American Experience. For now that I see that my time is up, thank you so much for your time. And until next time. Yep. In 23 hours, next time, my friends, pray for your nation. Pray for your neighbors. Yep. Even for those family members who rejected you over the Christmas holidays because you didn't take the jab. Let's learn to love one another as Americans. I'm Ron Edwards. Bye now.